I'm going to talk about the whole challenge of choosing a journal from the perspective of the members of the Scopus Content Advisory Board. This is a challenging subject area which is in continuous evolution, and since we started this process in 2009, much has changed in the field. So, as Wynne said earlier, we continuously discuss, debate, modify, and consider how best to serve the scientific community through the content selection process. So what determines a good journal? Well, it needs to be trusted and respected by the community in which it serves, and we can all think of highly ranked, well-known journals which are known worldwide. As Wim has said, it needs to be organized and run to high editorial and peer review standards, and there needs to be an emphasis on quality and trustworthiness of content. There needs to be a transparency of process for authors and readers so that anything reasonable that you want to know about the journal you can find either on its website or in its printed pages. There needs to be evidence of utility to its community, and the citation metrics are the worldwide way of assessing utility in scientific journals. And as Wim has said, one of the things that we debate at considerable length is how to move the metrics debate on from just the impact factor to more generally useful and more specific metrics, and you've seen some examples of that this afternoon. We would hope that you would be looking at a trusted and respected publisher that was known to be adhering to publication ethics, which had a strong publication record and whose reputation was well known and well regarded in the field. Usually the journal that you'd be looking at as a high quality journal would be vetted by one or both of Web of Science and the Scopus system, although some of the newer journals which are still in the pipeline may of course be of a very high quality and of a particular use to a particular sector of the scientific community. So we can flip that on its head and say, well, what constitutes a bad journal? Well, a bad journal would not be widely trusted or respected by its target community. It would have suspect editorial and peer review standards. For example, some of the journals that we're asked to review have an editor-only review policy, and even more, sometimes the editor is also the owner of the publisher of the journal as well. So you would look at that with a certain amount of suspicion. There's an emphasis on speed to publication by all journals now because it's a competitive field. But if a journal said that it could publish your article in 48 hours, no questions asked, then you would really wonder about the quality of the evaluation, unless it was a particularly outstanding paper that was submitted. And you would be suspicious there that the primary driver of the journal was not to accept a high quality article from you, but to select the payment in order to get the publication. And that would be seen really as a form of vanity publication. There would be perhaps a lack of transparency of the business model. For example, some of the journals that we look at, it's self-evident that they come from one country and yet they're purporting to publish in another country, and in fact when you look up on Google Earth or Google Maps, which are very good detective tools, you find that the postal address given by the business is in fact a building or a place which could not realistically be seen as a publishing house. I've said that publication ethics adherence needs to be voluntary. The publishers would wish to sign up to the ethics process in good journals, whereas you would worry that in the situation of bad journals, poor publishers, they were not really, their heart and soul was not in the publication ethics process, and they were adopting it by compulsion rather than by volition. Obviously, with the internet these days, you can find out lots of things on social media and by looking at particular websites, such as Jeffrey Beall's list. Although Scopus itself doesn't subscribe to any of these specific lists, we obviously scan the web and we're interested to know what's going on, and we feed information around between colleagues both during the meetings and at other times. Similarly, if a journal is not accredited by the quality-tested citation systems, Web of Science and Scopus in particular, then you would want to know why. Why is publication ethics important? Well, the world's academic literature is founded upon trust, And that occurs both in the laboratory or the site at which the data is generated and the papers are written. You need honesty in the process of data acquisition, data presentation, and reproducibility. For example, in my own subject field of medicine, if you publish knowingly misleading information, somebody may act on that, believing it to be true, and in consequence somebody's life may be put at threat because they're given the wrong treatment for something or they're led to expect the wrong outcomes. I think in journals which are well established and highly regarded, the pursuit of truth and objectivity really takes precedence over the profit motives. Although, of course, we're not naive. We realize that all publishers have to make a profit in order to stay in business and to continue to publish. But in some of the more suspect journals, it is clear that the only motive really is a financial motive rather than contributing to the quality of the world's published literature. Unfortunately, it is evident to us, and I think to many of you, that publication malpractice is now commonplace, and it becomes corrosive. If people don't feel that they can trust the scientific base of literature, then we're all damaged through it. And of course, you know that many organizations, Wim has already alluded to some of them, the Committee on Publication Ethics, the World Organizations for Medical Ethics, Scopus itself, and most of the major publishers are very concerned and united in strategies to address it, both within the profession and also by informing the regulatory agencies, both nationally and internationally across the globe.